Sonic the Hedgehog is a fairly beloved franchise. Whether it be games, TV shows, or merchandising stores, chances are that you've heard of this beady blue hedgehog before. Even though Sonic is a giant in the video game industry comparable to Mario, it is one of the most ridiculed game franchises in history, releasing some of the most notorious titles in gaming, like Sonic 06, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic Boom, all getting below or barely above a 50 rating on Metacritic. There are many reasons why the quality of the series is doing so low, but it all goes back to this man, Takashi Iizuka, the current head of Sonic Team. Iizuka joined the team in 1994 as an art designer for Sonic 3, and made his own subsection of Sonic Team called Sonic Team USA in 1998 to develop Sonic's first 3D outing, Sonic Adventure. In 2006, during the development of the 15th anniversary game Sonic the Hedgehog, the head of Sonic Team at the time, Yuji Naka, left Sonic Team mid-production to go on as an independent developer, which meant that Iizuka became the head of the company. Coincidentally, the 5 years after Iizuka became the head are commonly dubbed the Dark Ages of Sonic, as in this time period Sonic Team released mediocre game after mediocre game, which were all received in a very negative light by players and critics alike. I do not think Iizuka is a very good head. Before we get into the reasons why, I would first like to show you the public reception on all the games in these dark ages. Even though I believe that some of these critic scores are undeserved, most of them are, with Sonic 06 still having a scar on the franchise even 15 years later. However, in 2010, Iizuka put listening to what the critics and the fans had to say about the games as their top priority when developing their next titles, which seems like the correct thing to do, but as you can see here, that did not work out so well. Even though 2005 to 2010 are dubbed the Dark Ages, I believe that the modern era of Sonic games are in much worse state than the previous era. This is all because Iizuka is trying to distance himself as much as he can from Sonic 06, because of the bad reception and the stain that it has left on the series as a whole. Because of this, the writing of the modern games have been oriented towards kids, because Sonic's story was dark and edgy. The only playable character now is Sonic, because Sonic 06 had multiple playable characters. Characters are not allowed to have more than one character trait, because Sonic 06 had that. I feel that it is completely reasonable for Sonic Team to distance themselves from Sonic 2006, but not to such an extreme that not a single aspect of that game has been carried over. Even the character designs and the gameplay style has been changed for all games afterwards. This is why I think that in Iizuka's case, putting critical response at the forefront is detrimental to the franchise, because Iizuka's philosophy is that if something failed, you scrap everything in that game and create something entirely new, instead of improving on the previous game's concept. So because of Sonic 2006's failure, Sonic is now marketed towards kids and only kids, but this comes with complications. Iizuka has retconned many plot points and locations in the previous games, like the existence of humans and money. However, he still considers the old games canon, but does not give any reasonable explanation as to how. But going back to the game quality, the development conditions of the games are terrible. Let's take 2014 Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric for example. This game has review scores that are on par with Sonic 2006, and single-handedly killed the Sonic Boom reboot series. Sonic was meant to get a reboot that cut down on the characters and gave them all a Western redesign. However, the developers of this game, Big Red Button, didn't know this until about 2 years before the game was meant to release. 1 year before it would have released, the development team learned that the game was going to be a Wii U exclusive, a console that doesn't have enough processing power to run the current game that they were developing. This means that they had to restart development with only a year before the game was meant to release. This means that they had to scrap many gameplay elements that were going to be implemented and put a game together in the little time they had left. And this did not just happen with this game. Sonic Forces, the most recent Sonic game, was a 25th anniversary game, which meant that it had a 4-year development time. Except this is not really true, because they spent 3 years making a new lighting engine for the game, and only 1 year on the actual game. And the new lighting engine looks worse than a lighting engine that they made in 2008, about 10 years before. I realize this is mostly the fault of Sega for putting these impossible deadlines on these games, but Iizuka is also to blame for not managing that time correctly and forcing his team to crunch. In conclusion, I believe that Takashi Iizuka is a bad head of Sonic Team. He tries to distance himself as far away from a game as possible if it fails, instead of improving on the failed concept, doesn't give good or any explanation for plot holes and inconsistencies in the canon. He insists on marketing Sonic towards kids with the story and the characters, alienating a large portion of the fan base, and doesn't manage his team well when they're developing a game, forcing them to crunch. However, Sonic's 30th anniversary is this year, and we are told that there will be a new Sonic news in E3 in 3 days. So I hope that Sonic team have learned their lesson from their last outings and earned back their reputation as the king of video games.